Your smile keeps playing, you're miles away, yeah. I will go overseas just like that. Don't overthink it, why can't you stay? Give me the call and I'll just be there like that. I don't understand it, but you keep me together when everything
Reborn Twinmom, FamBam, how you guys all doing today? I hope you guys are having an amazing day or whatever. So my other hobby is makeup. So I'm going to be doing some makeup. I'm going to be talking about my story time today. So I got these from Ulta and I was like, these are the new Morphe brushes. I have a lot of Morphe brushes that I started off with in 2015 when I started doing makeup and stuff and learning how to do all that jazz. So yeah, I'm going to open them up, take them out. So I want to know because I think they sold their company to someone else, I believe. So there's, oh brother, there's extra papers with nothing in them. Okay. They're supposed to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brushes. So let's see. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 brushes in that box, and then I got this little one for your concealer brush, the M132. It's like the one that Singe Beauty came out with. I'm like, oh, cute. That's cute or whatever. And then I also got these brushes too. They were $33. That one was that one was $28 for 7 brushes, and this one has 2, 4, 5 brushes. We're gonna try out these brushes, see how they work, see if they are still like back in the day or whatever. I'm just gonna put P. Louise base on my lids today, just to keep that there, the eyeshadow there. But you know what, to be honest, you don't need anything on your eyes, because back in the day when I grew up, no one used all this. Like seriously, no one used even foundation, and they still put on blush, and they still put on this and that and the other and the third, you know. They did their eyeshadow and they didn't use none of this. So you don't have to use the base, but I like using the base because it'll stay on, my eyeshadow will stay on all day. But I also like to what is it called? Also pat it, put translucent powder on my eyelid after I do this, just because sometimes I have experienced it being tacky and it like not performing that great, and it will stay patchy. So that's why I like to do it. You don't have to, because this will dry and then you can do your eyeshadow. And I've done it like that before, but for me, to be safe, it works for me like this. So that's why I do it this way. You know, we all do different things, and there's no rules when you do your makeup or whatever. You do what you want, boo. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of translucent powder on my eyelids. We're gonna use this palette right here from Nomad Cosmetics or whatever, and we're gonna go in with that purple shade, we're gonna go in with that red, we're gonna go in with that yellow, and then we're gonna cut the crease, and we're gonna put that blue in, we're gonna put that yellow in, and yeah, and I don't know these names on here, so yeah, they have names that I probably will be butchering. So with all that being said, we're just gonna get into it. And this performed very good. It was very soft and everything. It was really good. Really good brush. Okay, so, ooh, nice. Ooh, they even have like this is a brow sculptor. Wow. Pretty snazzy or whatever. And then you comb it with the other side. That's a good brush to use today. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna use that brush later, but I'm gonna go in with my Morphe brush today because this never disappoints. Let me tell you, this never disappoints because it don't. It's my jazz. It's my jam. It's my jam. It's my jam. It's my jam.
Your smile keeps playing, you're miles away, yeah. I would go overseas just like that. Don't overthink it, why can't you stay? Give me the call and I'll just be there like that. I don't understand it, but you keep me together when everything around me keeps me under pressure, yeah. It's so overwhelming, but I will wait forever so you can come and get it. I don't understand it, I don't understand. I try so much to
We're gonna go in with this brush and we're gonna go in with that red.
everything you thought I had. You drive me crazy, but I still want you here. So just give me the call and I'll just be there like that. I don't understand it, but you keep me together when everything around me keeps me under pressure, yeah. It's so overwhelming, but I will wait forever so you can come and get it. I don't understand it, I don't understand.
Morphe brush.
Say, hey, we're gonna need some biscuits.
Yellow.
It's holiday season. You're gonna be making some money. I know here they make money. We have only one here. There's normally in each town one. The gift store. I love the gift store. They have.
Now we just got to cut the crease, cut the crease, cut the crease, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it. Okay, so this works too. Your babas, your saliva, but girl, I don't want to do that today, girl. I don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna use Marcella, whatever, water. Okay, water. So I'm just gonna do this situation right here. Okay, and then we're gonna cut the crease with uh-oh, they're not good. And we're gonna put this on there. It's the canvas one, so that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna use this brush. It's what's his name's brush? I always forget. Remember Mitchell's brush.
Me to call and I'll just be there like that. I don't understand it, but you keep me together.
The blue shade on both sides. And then the yellow in the middle.
Wait forever so you can come and get it. I don't understand it, I don't understand.
Going in with that yellow shimmer. And then we're gonna go in with this green. This dark green right here. That dark green. On the corner right here. And yes, red and green mesh together. But it's not gonna be that bad, you know. It's just right here in that inner corner, whatever. Okay guys, so I was planning on talking. I had another channel, it got hacked. I couldn't get back into it, so I lost my channel. I had about 10,000 subscribers, up to 8 when I lost it and whatnot. So yeah, around 10 or 8. I was monetized, and so I had to start my whole channel again. So I had started talking about my story time on there, and then I started doing mukbangs and ASMRs and all that good jazz, right? So I started my channel again. I had purchased a Reborn silicone baby doll on there too when I started doing videos with her, and I got a lot of views. But I also got a lot of views on my story time and ASMRs, mukbangs, makeup tutorials, me doing makeup looks on my face, drawing on it and stuff, and very artistic that I didn't know I had until I started doing makeup and playing around with makeup and stuff. So yeah, and with that being said, let me talk to my friend. Like I said, I used to caregive for my grandpa. I took care of him for about 12 years, maybe 11 years, 12 years, about 12 years. And I used to show my videos of me taking care of him, giving him a shower, you know, dressing him and everything, and he used to love it, and watching, you know, making him dinner or lunch. So yeah, he used to like it too. And that's how I grew my channel. And like I said, I got a lot of views with everything that I did, like the ASMRs, and a lot of views were my grandpa, them seeing my grandpa, my ASMRs and stuff like that. And also my story times really took it was a go when I started talking about what happened to me in my life and why I was the person that I was, and that I'm no longer am that person anymore, because God has changed me into this person that you guys see behind the camera. Because I never smiled, I never was happy. I was never happy with my life. I was never happy with myself. I wanted to commit of my life a lot of times in my life. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about when I got a family member and what happened and what brought all this trauma to my life. But it's hard doing makeup and talking at the same time. I give everybody props who can do it, because it's hard sometimes. This side is not patchy. Sometimes it looks patchy because I have a scar from glass falling in my eye because of that crazy loquera when I used to be on the loquera, eh? Anyways, let me just cut my crease, and that's going to be a big mission too. Okay, hold on, because we're going to use this. Okay, let me cut the crease, and then I will, oops, I forgot to cut that crease with that. Oh, brother. My bangs are getting long again. I gotta cut them or whatever. Anyways, so with all that being said, I grew up in a very crazy, chaotic, dysfunctional family when I was young, and then everything that happened to me after that was very traumatic for me. So I hated my life. I hated me. I was very geniosa. I used to give mad dogs all day long. I hated everybody. I hated myself. I hated my life. I just didn't want to be in this world ever. So I got molested by a family member when I was 12 years old, before I turned 13, I believe, or it was 11 and a 12-ish year maybe, because it was back in 1991, before I probably turned 12. I was 11 going into 12, because I know it was the year that she was having my cousin. She was pregnant with my cousin. My family member was pregnant with my cousin. So with all that being said, I used to go to my aunt's house because I hated being around my parents. They were always fighting. They were always constantly just, it was chaos. It was so dysfunctional. My dad used to always tell us that we were stupid and dumb. We would never amount to anything. No vales una verga, which means you're not worth the dick in English. He would just be so ugly to us. He would always say that we would never amount to anything and that we were dumb and stupid. It was mental abuse, physical abuse. Well, not physical abuse, because they used to hit you back in the day like that. They used to hit you crazy, and no one was calling the cops, and you weren't going to jail because it was it was child abuse then. Everybody used to hit their kids, and kids were very well behaved back in the day. They weren't going to jail and stealing cars and doing this, and that, and the other. So, that being said, and sometimes he would hit us crazy, though, when he would get very upset. There was a few times I used to see him choking out my sister, and I would have to tell my mom to help because he would be all hitting her and choking her, and she would be turning purple and blue and everything, So I used to have to defend her and tell my mom to tell him something, and then she would, and he would drop her, and he would be like, now you take care of them and you discipline them then, and it was chaos, guys, chaos. So that's the reason why I didn't want to be there. So I thought, going to my cousin's house and my aunt's house, that everything would be okay, right? Well, she was married to my uncle that was in prison. And so after that, they broke up, they got a divorce, and she started dating this other guy, and he was from Mexico, and she ended up marrying him and having a kid with him, and she was having a lot of miscarriages when she would get pregnant with her babies. And so she finally was able to keep this baby. She finally got pregnant, and she was carrying the baby. Well, up until then, I used to go over there. I used to hang out with my cousin and everything, and go spend the weekends with my cousin and my aunt and my uncle. That guy, we didn't really know him. We knew he was Spanish. He was from Mexico, and she ended up marrying him. And my aunt, we grew up, we're Hispanic, Latinos, right? Latina, and we grew up in that culture. So we're Spanish, we're bilingual, we talk Spanish and English, and we're slang, it's more slang, right? So with that being said, I used to go over there, and he used to talk Mexican. With all that being said, so he used to talk Mexican. My aunt didn't know none of it. Sometimes she didn't understand what he was saying and stuff, and then she started learning it when she was with him all the time, and she started learning his language more and stuff like that. And so she would talk that. I was young, so at this time my aunt was barely learning it. So yeah, sometimes we didn't know certain words he was saying because they say different words, they pronounce things different than we do, different. So anyways, he was really good to me. I think what he was doing is, now that I'm older, he was gaining my trust. So I would go over there. Sometimes he would hit my cousin, and he would be like really mean to her, and like he would hit her for like playing around with a dog and doing something to his dog. And so she always used to say, you're not allowed to hit me, you're not my dad, those things that kids say, and stuff like that. And so as time went by, he was really nice to me. He wouldn't hit me, he wouldn't be ugly to me. He treated me better than he even treated her. That's how I see it now. That screen thing, I don't know what it's doing over there. But anyways, I would go to his house, their house and stuff, and spend the weekend and stuff like that. And so he would have us sit on his lap or whatever. And like I said, we used to sit on my grandpa's lap. We used to sit on my uncle's lap in jail that we used to go visit. That was her ex-husband. And my dad's, my grandpa's, like my uncles, like that. And nothing has ever happened to me. And so we used to sit on his lap, and actually he used to have us lay on him when he would watch TV. And we would lay on his lap or whatever, and we watch a movie or whatnot, and my aunt was there or whatever, and that's what happened. And so then he started doing other stuff to me. So my cousin would leave to go see her dad in prison in Las Lunas, and I would go over there that weekend, and she had to leave with her grandma, but they were going to bring her back. And I don't know if she had spent the night that weekend or what, if with her grandma or whatnot. But anyways, I stayed there and whatnot. And so so before he did anything to me, like I said, he used to sit on his lap. He used to treat me better than he used to treat my cousin and all that stuff. And so then, when they finally moved to that one place, trailer lot, that's when he started being more different. So there was a time where I went to my aunt's room, and I don't know what I was doing or what, but when I came out of their bathroom, he ended up coming down the hallway, and he was like that right there, and he grabbed me and he started kissing me, and I was like, what the heck, And I'm only 11. Gonna turn 12 in June. And so he just like literally stopped me and started kissing me, and I was like, what the heck, like I was that girl that went to church. My dad raised us in a church since we were little, and I didn't know nothing about all that. Like, I never have seen any of that, nothing. Yeah, my dad used to walk around in his underwear at night, and my grandpa, when he would come open the door or whatever, but I'd never seen anything else, no penises, no nothing like that. And so I was like freaked out when he did that. And I was like, what the heck? Like, he's with my aunt, and they kiss and they do that stuff, and it was just weird to me, right? So and I'm young, so I start laying on him when he's watching movies, because that's what he wants me to do. He tells me to lay on his lap while he watches the movie, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we're sitting there or we laying there? I don't know if we were sitting down or I was laying on his lap, but he starts to grab my hand and he starts to make me fondle him and play with him and rub on it. And at that time, I didn't know what was going on. I know that it was wrong because I would pull my hand away and then he would put it back. And then we would go and we would be driving in their car and stuff, and my aunt would be sitting in the passenger side. He was sitting in the driver and he was driving, and me and my cousin would be in the back, and she would get down and everything, and he would pull my hand to him and he would start making me rub him and rub on him and fondle him and stuff like that. And I never told my parents because I didn't know how to say anything, and I didn't know anything about that. Like, like, this was my aunt and this is my uncle, and you wouldn't think that you were gonna get hurt by going and staying over there with them, So anyways, I'm not gonna put on what is it called? I'm not gonna put stuff on there. Concealer. I'm just gonna powder because I gotta hurry because I gotta go to work today. So with that being said, I wasn't gonna go home and tell my parents because I didn't know if it was wrong or not, because like I said, I never seen anything like that. No one has ever done that to me or anything like that. So I don't know, I was freaked out. I didn't say anything yet. And so every time I would go over there was this one time that I stayed pretty long, maybe like for a week or so, because we were like on spring break and I liked hanging out with my cousin and stuff like that. And there was this time where I was staying in their trailer, and their trailer was their bedroom was in the back corner with the bathroom, and then there was the laundry room, I believe, and then my cousin's room, and then There was the kitchen, and then the living room, and then my room and a bathroom that I stood in. And I remember that I didn't want to go home. That's all I know. I hated being home. I hated being around my parents because every time they would fight and they were going to get a divorce, they would always play games with us too. Who are you going to go with? And if we would say that parent, we would get in trouble. And my dad used to always get mad at us, and he was always hitting us. He was always like, it was so tense in that house. He used to physically and mentally abuse my mom. And I hated it. I didn't want to be around that. It was just too much. So that's why I would go stay with my aunt. And so then after that, so like I said, so anyways, after that, he was doing all that. One time he had told, well, my cousin was gone. And he literally told he asked my aunt if I could go with him. And my cousin was staying the night at her grandma's house, so she could go visit her dad, or she stayed there after they went to go visit her dad because she had family out there, you know, her cousins and everything that had twins. They were twin boys, and so she would go and hang out with her cousins and stuff like that. And so I was there, and my aunt was there, and my cousin was coming back, so that's why I stayed there. And then she ended up leaving and staying with her grandma, and my uncle had asked my aunt if I could go with him. I didn't even think she would say yes. I thought she would say no because my cousin wasn't there. No, she said, yeah, go ahead. So I ended up going with him in his car, and we ended up driving. There's a place in Albuquerque that we ended up driving to because that's where I'm from. I live in Tennessee now. And literally we got in the car, and he said he was going somewhere, and I guess he didn't go anywhere. He ended up taking me to where there was a ditch, and he drove back there, and there was houses, and he came out of the driver's seat, and he ended up getting in the back with me, and I don't know, he started kissing me and everything and pulling my pants down, and someone came up or something, or drove up or something, and he got scared, and he jumped to the driver's seat, and we took off. Thank the good Lord for that. I don't know who it was, but thank you for that. Thank you for saving me. And so with that being said, I was still staying with him. It was like a week vacation or 2 weeks. And anyways, he ended up coming in the room one night when we had just got done from a party. We had just went to a Christmas party or with our family or something like that. So we came from a party. I even know the clothes I try to block this out of my mind for such a long time, but I remember everything. I remember details. I even have tried to remember everything that I could possibly remember with what he did to me. Singe blush. It's like yellow because we got that sunset going on in the eyes. What was I gonna say? Okay, so we come from a party from our family. We're all hanging out, and I'm in the room. Like I said, he's in the living room sometimes watching TV, and the living room was in front in my room, and the bathroom was in the back. I ended up going in my room and getting ready to go to bed. And mind you guys, there is no door. So, I mean, there's a door, but you don't lock it. You know, back in the days, how those trailers used to do, like you just twist it and it locks? Well, that's what it had, okay? So, I go in there, and I start taking off. Oh, and mind you, my aunt is pregnant. She's in the back room. She's there, but she's in the back room. She's had 5 miscarriages, you guys. And this one, she had complications with him too. So she thought she was even going to lose my cousin. He comes in my room, and I'm taking down my pants, my pants, so I could get in my pajamas, comfortable clothes, so I could go to bed. That's the room I used to sleep in and stay in. And when I hear the door open, and I'm like, what the heck? Well, my aunt was asleep. She's pregnant. She's in the way back room. My cousin's there, and she's in the middle room. And hold on, guys. I'm gonna go get my other stuff so I can finish. He comes in the room, and he opens the door, and my cousin, like I said, is in the middle. I guess he was watching TV, and then he came in there. That's what my cousin had said too. So anyways, he opens the door, and he literally gets me up from when you're taking off your pants, and there was a bench, you know, they call it a plateca. No, they call it a, I don't know what it's called, but it's called a, you know, those big, they're making them now, a keepsake box, but this was back in the day. It was a chest. It was a chest, a big chest. You put the lock on there and whatever. I was sitting on that, and he literally lifts me up from, well, I sit down because I'm like, what the heck, you know, because he's coming in. So I sit down, my pants are down, my underwear are on, and he picks me up and he pulls down my panties, and he literally he pulls down my panties, and he tries to stick his penis in my vagina, and I start screaming. It hurt, you know. I'm only 11, gonna be 12, and you know, I'm a virgin. Come on, let's get real. And I literally start screaming. He shuts my mouth and he starts telling me stuff in Spanish, and I try to remember what he said, but I really remember what he said, not to say nothing, because he would kill me and kill my family if I said anything. And he kept shutting my mouth so I wouldn't scream, because when I screamed, my cousin heard me scream. Thank God for that. So my cousin hears me scream, and he leaves out the door, guys. He doesn't do anything. He leaves out the door, and I guess he goes back into the living room, my cousin said, and finishes watching TV, so she couldn't go in there. She couldn't go into my room to see what was going on or why I was screaming, right? And that she heard me. And he was in the living room. So, I try my best not to go to sleep because I'm freaking out, because that hurt. Like, he was trying to stick it in me, and I'm screaming because it hurts, and he's shutting my mouth, telling me all this stuff, and I don't know what's gonna happen now, and I can't go to sleep. I'm trying my best to stay awake. You're only 11, gonna be 12, and you're trying your best not to fall asleep, right? So the next thing that I remember is I fall asleep, and I get woken up to him. His penis is in my mouth. I'm laying down. I'm asleep. I wake up, and he's doing this motion for me to give him head. A blowjob, guys. I'm sorry, but I gotta tell you guys everything that happened, all the details, because this is what happened to me. And I just remember it was in 30 seconds he's making his mess in my mouth. And he leaves, and he goes, and he says something. I don't know what he said. Something in Spanish, like it felt good to him, maybe. I don't know. He's a pervert. He's disgusting in my book. He's a person that should be murdered and have his penis shoved down his own throat. Or his, you know, behind his anus. Anyways, so with that being said, he leaves out the door, and I'm crying, and it's disgusting, guys. I'm like spitting it out in the sink because there's a bathroom in my room. I'm spitting up, I'm showering, I'm crying. I'm like, I feel like dirty, and I'm like freaking out because he tried to when we went down that road, and someone saved me, and then he continued to try to. He could have even did it too, but he ended up deciding to molest. So my cousin heard. She finally comes in. I shower. I'm in the room, and I'm crying, and she comes in, and she asked me why I was screaming, and I told her why I was screaming and everything that happened to me. And she's like, well, I hope this never happens to me. I hope he never does anything to me. And I was like, well, has he ever? And she's like, no, he hasn't, but you know, he does have me sit on his lap and watch TV. And I was like, yeah, I know that. And I was like, well, can you do me the biggest favor? Can you pinky swear me that you'll never say anything to my parents, to nobody, not to your mom? I didn't want her to lose. At that time, I don't even know. God put that in my head or something, because I was just like, I don't want my cousin to have to not be born or anything happen to him because of me. So I told her not to tell her mom, because she was even having a lot of miscarriages and she had complication with my cousin. So I was like, we're not going to tell your mom anything. We're just going to pinky swear that we're not going to say nothing to a soul. We know what happened and we're not going to say anything. And let me know if he ever does anything to you, you know. And so with that being said, guys, that night she said she wouldn't say anything, so she didn't. She went on her way. He ended up, I still stayed there. He ended up molesting me 2 more times. He would wait like 2 days and then go in the room and molest me, the same thing, have me give him a blowjob, and he would do his mess on me. And I didn't understand, because he had my aunt. Like, now that I'm older, I just don't understand why you would do that to a little kid when you have your own woman. You have your wife. Like, I think it's sick. And so finally, my aunt ended up going outside, and she seen that we had snuck out and we were with guys and stuff. And so she sent me home. I was the happiest camper ever. Happiest camper ever to be home. My goodness. So I end up going home, and they start talking about our school and stuff. They used to do the abuse thing, and they would go and talk about it, and if anybody has ever done it, to tell your parents. Well, I was scared to tell my parents, because my parents used to adore this guy. Everybody adored this guy. Everybody was just like, oh my gosh, he's so good, he's this, he's that. So when you hear someone, you know, putting him on this pedestal, I was scared to tell my parents, because I was like, no one's gonna believe me. No one's gonna believe me. And I told my family, like, when I was 15 years old and I'm pregnant with my daughter, you know, so I didn't say anything. But I started to know that it was, he molested. He tried to rape, and so and he was doing all this stuff to me before he finally tried to do what he did. And so when I went back home, my aunt and my mom, my other aunt and my mom were talking about stuff, and they were saying that they had gotten, and then I asked the question, like, what's the difference between getting, he told me, and then I knew that he had molested for sure. And I was like, oh boy. And I never said anything, you know, I just kept my mouth shut. I ended up okay, so another thing, I ended up moving with my aunt and my uncle, and I started staying with them, and I started living with them for a while too, because like I said, it still went back. It was still chaos. It was still dysfunctional. My dad used to start grounding us and taking away his vehicles and stuff like that when we were young. And he wouldn't let us drive his vehicles, and he would play head games with us, just like he did with my mom all the time. So I ended up staying with my other aunt and uncle, and she ended up letting me date. Well, I'm not gonna go into that whole story. I'll tell you guys that story in another time. But I ended up getting, I was dating. Then she started letting me see my baby dad, and I got pregnant with my daughter. And he kept telling me, we'll stay on this story, he kept telling me that I needed to tell my parents, and I just needed to tell them, and even if they weren't going to believe me, I needed to tell them. So then I finally listened to him that day, and I was like, I guess I should just tell him and get it over with. And yeah, and so they were talking about him, saying how great he was, and so I was like, yeah, he's so great, and he tried to twice, and then he molested. He's a effing, I was all cussing to my mom, and I told her, but I said, I told her, but I just want this to be between us. I don't want no one else to know. I don't want you to call her. I don't want you to talk to her. I don't want you to ask her about anything. And she's like, I got to. That's my sister. I need to ask her and find out. And I was like, for what? Like, it should have just stayed between us and nothing should have ever... She didn't have to call her. For what? I didn't think she was going to believe anything that I had said either. So, you know, and she didn't. And I told her, my family, my parents, that my cousin was there. She heard me screaming and stuff. And so my dad was pissed. My dad was like, I'm gonna go kill that son of a bee and and all that stuff, right? I don't know if my mom was in shock. I don't know. I really don't know. But I know my mom got a young age as well. And so I didn't understand her, because when she called my aunt told her, oh, so sorry guys, I forgot this detail out. So before I had told my parents, me and my cousin used to see each other because she used to go stay with my Nana in Sovieta, and I used to go and see her, and sometimes we would get together, but I would stay away from him, you know. And what was weird though, he used to like look at me really weird still, and he used to like want to always like hug me and like be around me. Ooh. So what was I gonna say? So my cousin had told me when her mom was having her brother that he was molested too and stuff. And so I was like, oh my goodness, have you told your mom? And she was like, no. And you told anybody? And she was like, no, I'm just telling you. And she was like so scared, and that night she was even scared he was gonna after her after he did that to me, and she was so scared and terrified to stay with him by herself. And so that night my aunt was having her son, I guess, or in that area, that's when he ended up molested. Okay, so I told my parents, right? My mom goes to call her, and I tell my mom too before she calls her that he was even, and she hasn't told her mom nothing either, and she was scared. So then, because everybody liked this guy, like seriously, everybody used to love him because he was nice. He would always do stuff for everybody. He used to treat my Nana and thought they were really good and whatnot. So everybody adored him. Well, adore him until he's a pig. And so, anyways, she calls her sister and she tells her sister what I just tell her, and her sister goes, no, he didn't do that, and if he were to have done anything to her, it's because, or any of them, they used to always say he was cute when they were young and they were over here. They used to always say he was cute, and they were always sitting on his lap. So if he did anything, she provoked him to do what he did. Oh my gosh. So my mom starts saying that I provoked him to do what he did. To hear that from your own mother? Like, I heard that from her, but to hear that from your own mother, that she was 15 years old too. To say that, I was like, beyond me. That's what took the cake for me. I was never the same after that, you know? I was so hurt by my mom. I hated her with a passion. Hated her. I despised her. I resented her. I had so much anger towards her. I was like, what the heck? I didn't understand that. I'm like, so what did I do to provoke a little girl that didn't know nothing about nothing, never have seen a penis, nothing, was still a virgin, 11 years old, gonna turn 12. Or 12, and then was gonna turn 13. Didn't know nothing about that. Didn't even know about a kiss. Didn't even know about fondling a man. Nothing. Didn't know about a penis in a mouth either. Okay. Wow. So that really hit me hard. I was just like, what? Like, what? So I ended up going to counseling. They put me in counseling, and the counselor's asking me everything and stuff, and she's telling me that it's not my fault. I tell her everything, and she's like, it's not your fault, you know, what happened to you, you know? He was a grown man. Let's even say a scenario that you were touching him and you started touching him and whatnot. He's a grown man to tell you that's not what we do. But he didn't. He ended up said and trying to rape, and that wasn't right, and that's not your fault, and you didn't provoke him to do what he did. So yeah. So like I said, went to counseling. They wanted his, she said, you know, I never did anything. He was sick. He was a sick, perverted pig. He's a sick, perverted pig. And anyways, I didn't do anything to have him do what he did to me, you know? And so then she told me that, what was his name? Because they were going to go and, you know, probably arrest him. Well, I didn't give out his name because my parents told me not to do that. Not to give out his name to her because they didn't want him to go to jail, I guess, or anything, I guess, at the time. So I didn't say anything. I didn't say his name. I wanted to so bad, and I regret it to this day, guys. I regret it so bad now that I'm 47 years old, even before, because I wish I would have said his name no matter what, because I wish he would have stayed behind bars. I wish he would have paid his time. I wish that he would have been on the computer or anywhere as the sex offender, because you never know. He could still be doing it to other kids. He could even be doing it to his own grandkids. But yeah, so after all that, I used to go around wondering and questioning what I did wrong to provoke this man. What I did. God, please, I would pray to God, please show me something, show me a sign, give me a sign to see what I did wrong. Well, that never happened, you know, because I know now my older years that I didn't do anything. Sometimes I try to think back on it to see what I've done wrong or anything, and I didn't. I was an innocent kid that never did any of that stuff with him or anything, you know. So it wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. I know that now. But as a child, and your mom tells you that, I used to think that. I used to pray. I used to ask God to show me what I did wrong, you know. And my childhood went from crap to then. No, I getting old. My cousin had ended up going to my Nana's house in Sevilleta, and she wrote a letter, that he was, that her stepdad, me, and tried to rape me. Stuff was in the letter, and she didn't say my name or anything, and they were wondering, and my mom and dad came across that letter, and they read it, and they didn't know who she was talking about at the time. But then when I finally told them, then they knew it was me. And so, yeah. So, anyways, I just started growing up with a lot of hate. I used to throw my plate at my mom. I used to hit her. I used to punch her. And then I was pregnant with my daughter, so I said, you know, I have to stop doing this because I don't want my daughter to see this and start hitting me. So I stopped doing that, but I still hated her. I still resented her for years, for very long years. So we have a better relationship now. I haven't forgiven her because I don't think her asking me to forgive her was genuine, but I let it go a while back, and it finally gave me peace with myself for letting that go, because I had a lot of bitterness and ugliness in me from all that. My mom also did kick me in the stomach when I was pregnant with my daughter because she wanted me to lose my baby. She didn't want me to have a kid. She was so worried about what her family was gonna say. Oh, and I have the clip of my dad saying that he read the letter and all this, because I'm not making this up. This is what really has happened in my life. I always have a story to tell, that I have proof of everything. My daughter's dad used to be with me. I used to throw him off me when we were having sex. I used to push him off. I used to have nightmares. He's seen that. He's seen everything that I went through, and he kept telling me I needed to tell my parents. So yeah, so they seen it. I have a clip in my laptop that my dad is saying that they read the letter and they knew, that he had done what he did to me. So yeah, with that being said, guys, That's the rough life that I had to live, and that's why I think, but my family knew, my nana and tata knew, and my nana told my tata. So yeah, a lot of people knew about it. And when I started saying this stuff, I ended up calling my cousin and telling him to be careful if he ever had kids, because his dad was a pervert. And I told him everything that his dad did to me on a voicemail. He never called me, but I heard through the grapevine and through my family that my cousin was saying that I was lying, that my uncle never did that, because I don't think they wanted her brother to know anything. She wanted to keep it hush hush, but her dad, her real dad, biological dad, knows. She told him. She even told her kid's dad. So there's that. So yeah, I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. You know, you heard. You were in the room. You heard me screaming. You know all of it's true. Now you're trying to say a different tune and a different story, and you're trying to say all this other lies that you've told my sister about me. No, that's not what happened. You could call me if you want something to say. You can call me. You have my you could get my number and tell me that the stuff that you were saying I was doing, that's all lies, and you know it. Now that I'm saying, and I'm on camera saying all this stuff, you want to try to deny that he never did anything to me. And you know he'd molest that. You even wrote a letter saying that he did what he did to me. So don't try to lie now. But yeah, with me talking about it, she's trying to tell everybody that I'm lying about it and I'm making these things up. But with that being said, guys, I wish I would have been able to stand up for myself when I was young, but I didn't have no support, no one helping me, because I wish I would have put that mother, guy in jail. At least, to be on the site where he's a sex offender too. I think he's disgusting. He's a pig. You're sick. I don't even know how you can even like a little girl. I don't. Anyways, with that being said, guys, I will catch you guys on the next one, and never forget, y'all, te amo muchísimo.
Cause I like to be myself. If you're not agree, you can walk away. You can walk away. You can walk away. Something in my mind leads me to the I ain't nobody perfect. Something in my mind leads me to the I ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody perfect.